We've never seen a host like this.
Watch now.
Wow, what a cracking trailer that is. We're going to be talking all about it because I've just seen episode 1 of June Prophecy. We're also going to be talking about Cobra Kai. We're also going to be talking about Gladiator 2 and whatever else my guests may happen to want to talk. Before I bring people in, let's just see who we got in the chat. Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, we are going to be talking about that. Good to see Wormy. Good to see Leroy. Got Keithy. Aaron is here, and also some other people. If you have any questions or comments at any point, put them in the chat. If you have a topic you might want us to talk about or ask our views upon, put it in the chat. Just remember, we don't do politics and religion here, but we do talk about all things film, television, theatre, music, board games, anything creative, basically. We cover the lot. So let me bring in my regular co-host, Stupenzo. How's it going?
Yo, chilling. How are you?
Pretty good. Danced a lot this weekend. Yeah,
mostly dancing. Calories.
Mostly dancing, as they say on Police Academy. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good time. Good time was had. Very good time indeed. Northern Bastard.
Hey, you beautiful bastards. How are you all doing?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've got my watch hours in. I just need to get another less than 160 subs in, and I've reached 1K.
Oh, mate, that's pretty good. Well, if you haven't subscribed to Northern English Bastards and you feel that you could listen to his accent for hours on end while he discusses all things film and television, please check out his channel. And
you're supposed to sell my channel. Don't use my accent against it.
Surely your accent is your main selling point, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it's not a glamorous one.
Those soothing northern tones. That's going to be the main appeal of the channel. Maybe you should change it.
Someone has been showered in your ear by an angry bastard. Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly it. So people will expect that. I think they'd be disappointed if they didn't get it. The Inside Man is running late. I believe Blue Collar Loser is popping on shortly. We're going to keep the panel a bit tight tonight because we had a bit too many people on last time and we sort of ran over time somewhat. And right, okay, well let's get into it. Got a few things to cover, but first we're going to talk about June Prophecy, which we just had up on the screen there. I actually thought all of the episodes were going to be out today. I thought they were dropping it all in one go, but they're not. They're doing it weekly, which is a bit annoying. But I have seen the first episode. Well, I'll go first. I have to say, as a pilot for a June spin-off, it did a lot of things bang on for me. Number one, tonally, this really looks and feels like June. It looks and feels like the June of the books. It feels like the Frank Herbert world. They've kept the aesthetic and the design exactly in keeping with the Denis Villeneuve movies, which I think is a really good call because obviously they're fresh in everyone's mind. And this just feels like it is not only set in the same universe, but it's not like somebody else trying to design Lord of the Rings and doing a crap job, you know. This does feel like it's got the same aesthetic, and I think that's very important. We get a whole plethora of characters. We've got some of the best actors in the business in this show. Emily Watson, Mark Strong, who I've met, Olivia Williams, who I've met, Travis Fimmel, who I haven't. These are all very established names. Emily Watson is absolutely at the top of her game, and she's perfect as the kind of Reverend Mother character. My friend Kathy Tyson also appears in the pilot. She actually plays the elderly Reverend Mother who you see at the beginning. There's a flashback to her when she's younger, kind of leading the war and so forth. But yeah, I like the look of it. The dialogue is pretty good. The younger actors are mostly good. There's a couple that I think maybe could have been better, but most of them are good. And yeah, and it just looks and feels right. So off to a cracking start for me. Visual effects are very good as well. And it's got a pretty cracking ending. So looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. Northern, give us your thoughts.
It was a little. I was still trying to kind of comprehend what was going on a lot because it seemed to be packing in a lot in the very first episode. And honestly, as soon as I saw the trailer, it started to make a bit more sense. And I kind of let it down for me a bit because if you explain it so well in the trailer, but having to pack in a lot more stuff in the actual show, then it can be a little bit too much. Maybe it's me being a bit of a dumbass. I don't know, but I do like Mark Strong in it. I thought as soon as it got to the last 10 minutes, it did start to get a little bit interesting. I just felt there was a lot of exposition, and I'm hoping it gets better in the next few episodes and everything else starts to become a bit more clear.
There is a lot of setup, but I think if there is a criticism, I would agree that it's not the most accessible pilot for someone who's completely new to the world of Dune. There's a lot to absorb. Yeah. You need to watch it a couple of times.
And I am a complete novice to this world. I mean, I've seen the first Dune, but it's been a long time. I've only seen it once, and I've not seen the second one yet. So maybe we'll have to catch up on those movies for it to make a bit more sense for me. But I don't like Mark Strong. He always delivers, and the guy who I don't want to spoil it, who claims to be working with him, but does he have another agenda on the left? Yeah, he did seem very interesting. Emily Watson is always a really good actress, as always. I'm just not buying a character for now. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope it does. It does feel a little bit like Game of Thrones, but set in the Dune universe.
Yeah, which I think that's fine because Dune is very much about politics. It's not a Star Wars thing, you know. So I don't have a problem with that. Stupenzo, have you seen it?
Did.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it. I don't know. I think I'm glad that it's only 6 episodes, and maybe I'll check them out all together at once. But yeah, as far as the first episode, it just seems like, I don't know, they're trying to turn everything into Game of Thrones, you know. And while I appreciate they're trying to do more lore expansion of the Dune universe, they're really piggybacking on the Villeneuve movies. This very much is taking designs straight from that. It definitely feels like it's a spin-off of those movies.
Yeah, I agree. Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, but is it good for the show or is it good for the movies? I feel like it's only going to be detrimental to the movies. You know, like it's one of those things where like you think you want the lore explained, you think you want this all spelled out, but I think it's just going to, taint it. I like these things when they're shrouded in mystery. Apparently 10,000 years before Paul Atreides, but 100 years after this great robot war. I don't know. Everything just kind of stagnates. Everything kind of looks the same for the next 10,000 years, and nothing really evolves or gets the same. Whereas, like we see 100 years ago, things were very different. It's like, why don't we just make a movie about that? The Great War with the machines, you know? I don't know. Just seems like more aesthetically different and less of the same. And also, yeah, everything has to turn into female empowerment and hedonism. There's like literally like nightclub scenes with everyone like doing like spice. It's just like,
spice drugs and smoking drugs. And
the whole point about the spice is you have to take the spice in order to transcend, for space navigation to be possible. And I'm sure on this planet, people doing the spice because it gives you like god powers, but I don't know, it reminds me of Star Trek, like nobody nobody in Star Trek, or at least in the what's the Admiral Fleet, the space fleets, what's it called? What's what's the Federation? The Federation of Galactic Planets. Like, none of these people that work there, they don't really imbibe alcohol to get drunk. They don't really overeat to get fat. There's no I don't know, there's less of the 7 deadly sins going around. People are all bettering themselves and stuff. And Dune, even though it seems very a primitive technology, it seems very future, less is more type future stuff, more like Middle Eastern vibes. It still has that same kind of Star Trek quality where everyone's just kind of, it's all for the kingdom, it's all for the empire, or whatever. I don't like this idea of like people just and like I said, it's just Game of Thrones. Everything's got to be whisper networks and plotting in the garden and backstabbery, and it's just all political theater, and that's cool. But just for one episode, it's like, I don't know, you either release the whole show at once. I know Max doesn't like doing that, but I don't know. These shows, I got to binge them, man. This first episode really just did nothing but confuse me. And it's funny because like you read the Wikipedia summary just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And it's like, nope, didn't miss anything. Caught it all. It's just vague and strange. And, and if it's 10,000 years before Paul Atreides, I guess all that we're going to find out is this is the creation of the Bene Gesserit. That's basically what this is all leading up to. So,
yeah,
I mean, is that really a story we need explained in pedantic detail?
This is that story. But I don't see. For me, this is female lead characters done right, because you've taken an existing property where they were key to this universe. They're embedded in it. They're very important. They are the main power. Right,
but I kind of disagree that because they're basically just your standard white male politicians, except they're just all turned into women. So I mean, that's not really great with female characters.
No, but that's how it is in the book. So what I'm saying is it's honoring the book's property. What we're not.
I do got to say, I love Emma Watson and Olivia Williams, and it was great seeing her again. I love Rushmore. That's one of my favorites. And yeah, she's great in that. She's also, The Sixth Sense, and you probably see. When did you meet her?
I met her at the premiere of Wild Bill, and I just come in, and Jason Flemyng was with me, and Olivia Williams came in behind us, and Jason stopped her, and bless him, turned around and said, "This is Lance Nielsen. He's a very talented writer director. Olivia, a really good friend of mine." That was my introduction, and I thought, wow, that's nice.
Well, like I said, I love Olivia Williams. She's a great actress. She's a lovely lady. Anybody else, though, think that she kind of started to look like Richard Grant, like related to him at least? I had to look it up. Like, are they brother and sister? She looks just like him now. They kind of have the same like eyes and the same kind of like facial structure a little bit.
They're not related. And let's move on from that topic before you give the inside man the giggles. Gary, have you seen this?
What's this, mate? Sorry, mate. You've lost me.
Have you seen
June
Prophecy? No. Okay.
No.
I did drop you a message telling you to watch it.
No, I haven't, mate. No, sorry. Apologies.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. It's a bit of a busy week, I'm afraid.
All right, no worries. Have you been on set?
I may or may not have.
Okay. I can tell.
I'll tell you later.
I can tell we've got a 20-second time delay with Inside Man, but fine. All right, okay.
Christ.
No, it's not 20 seconds, but there is a tiny bit of a delay. There's a tiny bit of a delay.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought of this girl, Chloe Leah. I can tell you now, she's going to go far. Just from this one episode, I can tell she's got a face that is going to get her cast in loads of roles. Not seen this guy before. Edward Davis, Mark Addy, great. He was in Game of Thrones, of course, but you wouldn't recognize him in this. And like I said, I was impressed with the cast on the whole. Thought the acting was really, really strong. But yeah, I would like to have seen it all in one go. I agree with you. Stupenzo. It's probably a show that would benefit from a binge rather than watching weekly. Yeah. But we'll see where it goes. Rating out of 10 so far, definitely a solid 7 for me. I think it's a strong pilot. It could have been stronger. There is a lot of information, but I do like it. Stupenzo, what would you give it?
I mean, I'm not even gonna rate it until I see the whole thing, because I mean, just
Okay.
this 400 episode, I don't know, okay, 4. I don't know. Like I said, it never really piqued my interest. It never, like I said, I'll usually watch these at double speed, and if it seems interesting, it's like, okay, I'll slow it down to normal. But if it's like less interesting, I'll speed it up. You know what I mean? I'll go up to. It's like, dude, what is this boring nonsense? I don't know. It's just one of those shows where I'm just like Northern Bastard said, it's like, no, you're not just a bell end. It's difficult to just kind of get into it. I don't know. It wasn't just you.
Northern, what would you give it?
Yeah, probably just a 4 out of 10. I mean, a lot of the exposition probably could have been trimmed down a little bit. I mean, look at the trailer. It got a lot of what was going on straight away in just a couple of minutes.
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm
but
also
that trailer's of features clips from the entire all
Of
6
course.
episodes. It's not just
I'm just really sick of this dialogue style that everyone is doing. Like Mortal Kombat's doing it now. It is all derived from like this Game of Thrones like wannabe kind of way of talking.
right. Which
What
is
do you suppose we do for the prophecy? We shall see. Perhaps there should be a recommendation. Perhaps it's just like talk like a normal person, please. I don't know why everyone has to deliver it in this like fake like.
I'm
I don't
kind of
know,
with you
King
on
Arthur.
that. I'm kind of with you on that. yeah.
Stop. Use some contractions once.
well, let's look at the comments on IMDb so far. Interesting, but I'm cautious. A very promising start. High caliber ensemble with fresh, promising actors. I would agree with that one. Interesting.
Yeah, I saw a review on a woman who was having a go like a bunch of man babies are having a go at this because they're strong women and they don't like strong women. They should take a good look at themselves. It's it really was.
I like the fact that this is a female-led show. I think it totally.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's just they have to be interesting. That's it. They just have to be. That's it.
I agree. I find the characters interesting. I think the pilot could have been better, but so far I'm interested. I'm going to watch more.
You know who I thought was a really strong female character? The mom from Boyhood, played by Patricia Arquette. You know why? 'Cause she was an actual woman who did like womanly things. That to me is like what constitutes, like I said, just taking like the Bush administration and setting them on another planet and making them a bunch of women doesn't change anything. They're all just a bunch of politicians in suits, doing the same crap.
Yeah, I'll say Donal Reed in A Wonderful Life is a strong character. She helps her bloody husband out when he's down on his down in the dumps. She gets everyone around to help him out. Stops him getting arrested.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Well, we got a mixed bag of reviews on IMDb. There's some strong reviews, but there's quite a lot of people that think it's average, and there's a lot of people that don't like it. The Spices of Eastwick. So, yeah, okay. For it, the knife chipped and shattered. The Ford Pinto engine in the body of a Ferrari. Okay. Sad that you need to know. Well, yeah. So this was my criticism. Sad that you need to know the Dune universe. One thing that was quite clever about Villeneuve's 2-part Dune was that the dialogue in it was really stripped back. There was no exposition speeches or monologues at all. So there was an assumption on the part of the filmmakers that most people know the universe, so they don't need to explain everything. But I had quite a few friends that watched that version of Dune who'd never picked up the book, they hadn't seen the Lynch film, and they still understood everything.
Yeah, because they're showing, not telling. That's it.
Yeah. So it is. I mean, exactly. So you don't need exposition. I get why they did it with this because it's going to a slightly different audience. But yeah,
but the Dune movies, especially the newer ones, like they're all about the psychedelic spectacle. It's you don't need to understand what's going on. It's still crazy to watch. This movie, or at least this first episode, like. Yeah, there's like a cool sequence where a worm like swallows up a whole castle. You see it for 5 seconds in like a flashback. There's some other neat little imagery here and there, but yeah, again, it's mostly just people walking around like rooms plotting so far. I want to really, because there's a lot of concepts in the Dune novels that are like, difficult to put to film. Like, how do you even explain this visually, especially like the whole armor thing, the way that works. How do you get audiences to get it, like visually? It's just really high concept stuff, some of it, especially when you start talking about the worm juice, like all what that does. And I thought the Villeneuve movies did a good job. But like I said, there's the people that love the books are like, it didn't explain enough, they left a lot out. It's like, well, yeah, because a lot of it is like intangible. It's like that book, The Giver, a lot of it is just like, how do you even put this to film? This seems like less of that. Again, it's too hard to say because we're missing out on 5 more hours of it. So who knows?
Yeah. Well,
it just seems like, sorry.
We'll reconvene on it when we've seen the rest and reassess. Yeah. Let's do that.
6 weeks from now.
Yeah, 6 weeks from now. So just before Christmas, we'll do a June.
I hate it when they
special.
take breaks in these like 6 weeks, like there'll be 6 episodes, but there'll be like 1 week where they don't air it, for whatever reason. It's like, dude, come on.
A bit like a show called Cobra Kai, then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, talking of hating it when they take breaks, Cobra Kai said it was all announced. Next season is the final one, and I was like, "This is
They're going to split it into 3 parts, though. Why did you do that?
Is it 3 or is it 2? It's 2, I think.
Dude, it wouldn't surprise me. I just made up 3, but who knows?
It's one of their highest rated shows, so of course they're going to split it. Keep the fucking subscriptions going because they're probably going to lose a lot of their subscribers after this is finished because of all the crap that they've been churning out.
Well, we've just had, that's a fairly entertaining picture. We've just had the first 6 or 7 episodes of the final season of Cobra Kai, which is all set in Barcelona, where the teams are going up against various other international teams for this sort of ultimate contest. I thought the idea of putting them all in an actual contest is good. I quite like that as a plot. I mean, this is a kind of, you have to accept that this show is like a hyper reality going in. It's way removed from the original film, which you could have believed that really existed. It was really a film about bullying. This is a hyper reality of the Karate Kid, where massive fights break out with quite serious consequences, yet nobody ends up in jail. Yeah, but as long as you accept that and you know that going in, I think that's fine. I have to say that the fight sequences in this show were really rather good. For the tournament stuff was it was good. I was quite impressed. But difficult to rate it until we've seen how it ends. But I enjoyed it. I binged it all in one day. So actually, I binged it when I got back from clubbing, funnily enough. So can't think why I was still awake. But yeah. So who else has seen it?
Me.
Okay, tell us, what do you think?
It's kind of running its course a little bit, but it's still fun. It's just that it just feels like it should have ended at series 5, and the first episode of series 6 felt like a nice little prologue. If you cut out the part where Kreese goes to Japan, and that's it, and then it could have been a good end. But no, we kind of get some other stuff. We kind of get chosen getting with that Japanese Cobra Kai bird from the last series, which was kind of funny, even though they're supposed to be enemies. And Terry Silver kind of returns to be his cackling, diabolical villain thing. It just feels a little bit played out now, and I still love these actors. They're still playing it as great as they can. But then you get this Mr. Miyake having this dark past, which feels so crammed on. It's I still like it, but it's just a very weak series.
I think the most fun is Johnny Lawrence, and
oh yeah, he's always fun. He's always fun.
He's. I mean, Martin Cove is having the time of his life with this role now. And
Yeah, the older actors still look like they're having fun, and they are still very charming in their own arsehole kind of way.
I do like the scenes with him and Ralph Macchio, you know, where they're all they sort of go at each other, and they've kind of flipped it round now where the kids are having to be the adults and sort of call them out on their shit, which I thought was kind of nice. But yeah, Hawk's haircut is just ridiculous.
Yeah, but he can pull it off. He could pull off that ridiculous haircut.
I
wish I had the bloody balls to do that.
But I liked all this. I thought this all this tournament stuff was actually pretty good. This was really silly. Ralph Macchio kind of gets kidnapped and ends up being locked in a shed.
Yeah, and it turns out the guy was one of the fucking goons from Karate Kid 3, who we had we totally forgot about.
Oh, yeah, that's because that's probably the most forgettable of all the movies.
Yeah, Children's still funny, and I do actually like this actress as well. She's actually very intimidating. I think she's very underrated, to be honest.
Yeah, no, she's good. It's so weird that they've been tagged as being in Snakes on a Plane in this shot, which is not.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Yeah, someone's incorrectly put that information at the bottom. But yeah, not so. So yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, I'll give those.
Wait, could Snakes on a Plane be the name of the episode? Is that possible?
Oh, it could be. Yeah, I suppose so.
No, because I mean, this says Cobra Kai under it, so no, that theory's out the window.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Cobra Kai Snakes on a Plane. I think you're right. It's the name of the episode. But I give this episode overall kind of 7 out of 10. It's kind of one of the things that's nice about it is at first, you know, there was just all these kind of Miami Vice montage shots of Barcelona, and then it would cut to an interior scene, and you're thinking, okay, we're back in California again. They're filming all this in California, and they've just sent a second unit out.
Yeah, Netflix are being tight asses, aren't they?
No, but then in the final episode, suddenly we had a whole sort of montage of scenes of actually the actors in quite well-known Barcelona locations, clearly not screenshot, blue, you know, not blue screen or green screen or whatever. Some scenes on the beach and things. I've been there, so yeah. But yeah, it's yeah, I'll give it 7 out of 10 for this so far. But I'm keen to see how it ends because I have to admit the cliffhanger was pretty good. The cliffhanger was good. And then I was annoyed.
The cliffhanger has to be good by design.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it has to be.
I mean, this is the problem with the. I mean, you know, you have this binging society where everyone likes to binge now, and now they're like, okay, well, we got to split up the binging, so we're gonna take the season and split it into 3 or 2 or whatever, so that way at least they'll binge, you know, in one half in one season of the year, and then the other half in another season of the year. I don't know. They got to hang on to these memberships, you know. I actually haven't watched any of Cobra Kai, even though it's been recommended to me a bunch, and I hear at least the first several seasons are good, but it's just one of those things where it's the same thing every time. Like, you got everybody recommending it, and then a few years go by, and the same people that were recommending it aren't recommending it. It just always happens, and I just try to avoid that. So,
I will admit though, because you have made a point. It does kind of even the good series kind of repeat a lot, like Johnny and Danny kind of falling out over stupid reasons, and there's always these soap opera stuff with the teenagers, and sometimes it gets annoying, but the fun moments
still outweigh the
tediousness, though. The fun moments
that's how all shows are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of cycle of narrative with this show, but I don't really care about that because it's still funny. It is fun. I can watch Ralph Macchio and William Zabaka argue as those two characters.
That's a lot of time to invest, though, isn't it? 7 seasons. That's I'm not sure if I could really go through that.
Yeah. So, as president of the Cobra Kai fan club, Inside Man, tell us more. How do you feel this season is going?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Never seen it.
It's really worth losing your life over. To be honest, it is. It does get very silly, but you can't help but enjoy the silliness a little bit. And it does.
Yeah,
have,
Northern's going to organise a 36-hour continuous watch party for you, so you can catch up.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, my wife is going to divorce me now because of this.
Well, let's move on to Gladiator 2, which I've seen. Who's seen it?
Oh boy, I have not.
Oh, I didn't even know it was out yet until about yesterday, maybe.
Am I the only one who's seen it?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah, there's a crappy cam floating around on the internet, but I didn't want to watch that.
No, I've seen it. Man, this has got to be the biggest disappointment of the year.
Yeah, I didn't see it because I wanted to wait until I heard what you said, Lance.
Well, I was very keen for it to be good. I have a couple of friends who worked on it, including one who has done an interview on the channel, who always does a good job with his aspects of production, and I can see his aspects of the production are great. And you know, this is a big film that a lot of people worked very hard on. I have a number of issues with it. First of all, dialogue is and it always starts with the script, is banal at best and at times painfully embarrassing.
You got any examples?
I could give you some, but I mean, there's a speech at the end which sort of doesn't really ring true. Doesn't really ring true in the moment. Paul Mascow's a good actor. I'm just not sure he was ready to inherit this role. And I don't really have a problem with relative unknowns or newcomers being handed a heavy chalice. But the problem with Gladiator 2 is really the story. The initial plot of Lucius basically, being whisked away, eventually he has to go into hiding, and then he comes back and ends up in the arena, is not a bad concept. But that's really all that we get with it. I mean, that's really all that happens. You've got these two comical Roman emperors, and I believe they did really exist because, as we know, Ridley Scott was there. But they're too cartoonish for me. They're too pantomime in terms of villains. I don't believe Denzel Washington's character would have been able to achieve the things that he does in the historical context. So that, to me, didn't feel real. He's fine in the movie. He's not the problem. The script is the predominant issue I have with it. Let's take that to one side for the moment. The CGI in the film is good, but the first fight in the arena, spoiler coming up for people.
Spoil it.
It's not a story spoiler, so it is basically a bunch of would-be gladiators against CGI baboons. And I just don't believe it. It's like, oh, come on, man. Maybe this happened, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe what I'm seeing would really
I just
happen.
feel like those poor baboons, like what?
Well, and these are not baboons that you would expect to see in a Tarzan film. These are like those creatures in that movie. What was that movie that came out in the 90s where it was kind of like, what was it?
Shakma,
the missing link or something. With
I
these
thought you were talking about the one with a killer baboon running around the laboratory in the 80s.
Not that one. No. I'm talking, but this is like these killer baboons out in the wild that they discover. Congo, thank you, Aaron Charman. Congo.
Oh, yeah, those are gorillas. Yeah, Congo was great.
Yeah.
The white apes, the great white gorillas, or whatever they were called. They lived in a volcano. They get killed by lasers.
Well, these look like
that movie.
These are. Sorry, I'm sneezing here. These are a similar kind of concept, and Mark Commode called them space baboons. That's what they look like. They look like baboons that would be on a ship in an alien movie. And I don't agree with this assessment. Gladiator 2 is to Gladiator what Maverick is to Top Gun. I thought Maverick was a fine film.
Yeah, I don't think people are like reinvigorated into the world of Gladiator again thanks to this sequel like Top Gun did.
No, it just didn't work for me. I wasn't emotionally invested in the characters. There's a couple of nice moments. There's some great photography, but there's also stuff that just looks stale and just there's too much CGI. And I was constantly taken out of the scenes by going, oh, look, that bit CGI, that bit CGI, that bit CGI. And, you know, I in a film about Rome and Roman gladiators, there is surprisingly little gladiator action in this movie. Gladiators going up against a man riding a rhino is not gladiator action. In my opinion, it was like I was watching Attack of the Clones, you know, with that scene in the arena. Were you not entertained? I was not. No, so for me, it was a massive letdown. I can't give it more than 6 out of 10. And I like to be positive, as you know, on this channel. But I just didn't buy into it. Maskell is not the problem. He does a very admirable job. The problem is the script. The script is not good. Simple as that. And I didn't like these guys. I just thought they were too over the top. And it just felt too cartoonish. Pedro Pascal actually was fine. And he had one of the more interesting characters. And I thought his storyline was quite well done. But you had like Derek Jacobi's character come back from the original. He's literally like wheeled into a scene to do a few lines that could have been done by absolutely anybody else. And then he's wheeled out again. And I think he does that twice. Connie Nielsen is great in it. She definitely, of all the cast, she does the best acting by far. You know,
who's cropping these pictures? I mean, it's basically cutting out their faces.
I know.
I get it. It's the posters.
What the hell?
I do think
angle on his dick here. It's like,
just have his groin be the center of the poster for some reason.
I do think that the original actor who played the kid in the original film could have done this part. I absolutely do think he could have done it. Because if you've seen him in the last season of Animal Kingdom, he still looks really young. He's in shape. So Denzel Washington's character Denzel's good. He's good in the movie. There's nothing wrong with his acting, but his character that they've given him to do is very pantomime. Connie Nielsen's character is more grounded and more real. She feels like she's still in Gladiator. Everybody else feels like they're in Gladiator 2, The Muppets Present. You know, it just is too over the top and too, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't buy it.
Connie Nielsen still looks very young for her age. She's not changed. She's killing it. She is.
See, I just thought this thing with this rhino, I just thought this was horseshit. Honestly, I just thought this was horseshit. This was nonsense.
I kept thinking of 300 when they take down the bloody rhino with the spears. It's my mind just flashed back to that scene now.
Yeah, I mean but the 300 is based on a graphic
novel. No, I mean I understand that. Yeah, it's supposed to be a bit more grounded, isn't it? While 300 is a bit more exaggerated.
I just feel like this should be more leaning into the sword and sandals classics. There's nothing wrong with it being big and over the top, but I still want to feel like I'm in that period, like I'm getting a glimpse into things that went on. This didn't feel like that to me. Like I say, there are some good scenes, there are some good moments. There isn't one line of dialogue that I could quote back to you that I thought, wow, that's a great line. And for a film like this, with the amount of money, the script definitely, you know, I don't know. It's David Escarpa, I think, is the screenwriter. and I think it was really just him. So whether maybe people, you just don't know. As Inside Man will tell you, a script can go through so many fingerprints, even if it only has one person's name on it. Sometimes you get actors changing lines on set. Sometimes lines get changed for practical reasons. Sometimes directors change lines. You know, the writer's rarely there. This was another thing. The music. The score for the entire film was completely underwhelming. I
Was
mean,
there rap music in it?
no, thank God.
Oh, the trailer only. Okay.
They leaned into the original theme towards the end as they went into the final sequence, and that's the only bit I can remember. I felt like they either should have gone with the original score and kind of remixed it, but so it was very recognizable. But what they seem to have done is just gone for a sort of meandering, you know, because the original score for Gladiator is one of the best soundtracks of all time. So you probably can't top it, but you got to get close with your second film. So your second film should at least have its own very distinguishable theme, because everybody can remember, you know, we all know those 3 beats. There's no 3 beats in this film. So that was another area where I felt it was really let down.
But didn't Hans Zimmer actually did make a contribution though, didn't he?
Yeah, about £5,000, I think. I have no idea.
But he did actually make some kind of musical contribution to it. So it's not just Benjamin Wallfisch. It's Benjamin Wallfisch and Hans Zimmer. So there is some of the composition some of the score is done by Hans Zimmer.
I mean, this fight was quite good, but doesn't last very long. And the build up to this fight, you're quite. The funny thing is that Pedro Pascal's narrative. He's a general who's sick of war. He's fighting for 2 Roman emperor brothers who are crazy. And he's sick of war, and he comes home. He didn't want to do the last invasion, which cost a lot of young lives. So you're kind of with him, you know, you're rooting for him. But ultimately, his last attack killed this guy's wife, the Lucius character, who's called something else now. Can't even remember what his name was. So he blames him for the death of his wife. Okay, fine. But I just sort of, I didn't feel that conflicted when they were fighting, and I should have done. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I think in terms of historical accuracy, there's an awful lot that's let's just say gone out of the window. But then, you know, we can say that about absolutely any Roman epic, absolutely anything, including, you know, Ben-Hur, the original 20s Ben-Hur, the 50s Ben-Hur that we know and love. You know, every single one of them, they've played, you know, fast and loose with history. However, I know some of the events in the arena, in the Colosseum, do appear to be a little bit outlandish and outrageous. But believe it or not, these things really did happen.
Yeah, I didn't mind the scene where they flooded the arena. There were boats in it, which I'm told did happen.
Unfortunately, I mean, this time period, by that time, they couldn't have flooded it because it was already excavated to have the catacombs below. So prior to that, it was only prior to the catacombs being excavated, a 3-year engineering project. Prior to that, they were able to flood it, but after that, they couldn't, which stands to reason.
That's the set at Malta Film Studios, built once again. That's the arena set. I wonder if that's still in place or if they took it down this time.
I think they're going to keep this in place this time because you know, they said once the original had been taken down. Now Ridley Scott had said after the first Gladiator, you know, why don't you keep this up? This will make a great attraction for the studio.
Yeah.
Like, no. This, you know, we need to take it down. We're going to take it down, And of course, as soon as the movie was a huge success, Arthur Max and Ridley Scott were approached to redo the arena and many other sets over there by the studio, and they said, oh, sorry, we're really busy, and this is like an entire movie. It's like coming back to the studio to reconstruct everything for an entire movie, so it would take way too long and would be incredibly expensive. So you had the chance, but you blew it. So hopefully this is going to remain standing now.
Well, I've just checked on Google Earth, and it is still there. Let's have a quick look.
Nice.
It is still there. So this is Fort Rascoli. I've been to this location, and there it is. So there's the arena set, still there, not currently being used. This is the smaller arena set, which is used for some of the other shots. That's interesting as well, because there's a tank in that one. Look, see the tank, the water. I don't know if that's built over a natural hole. There, not sure. Looks like maybe it is. Yeah, but this is there it is. So they have kept it, so it is there. I've shown this film studio on the channel before. It was also used to film Cutthroat Island, parts of Cutthroat Island, and a whole load of other things. The other important parts of the film studio are these two massive water tanks here and here, and next to these were a whole load of different boats from different films, and a load of them are actually still here. And if you zoom down to this, and you see here, this is the Titanic from Raise the Titanic. That's the 55-foot scale model. It's still there. So I took a picture of that when I walked past it from before. So I do have that on my computer, and they've got various other boats that have been used in various other productions, all sort of sitting alongside the tank in case any of them can be recycled again. So that's the big tank that they filmed the final battle of Cutthroat Island in with the two ships. So
I think what they're thinking of, what they're thinking of now is a similar, going through the similar kind of methodology as Cinecittà, where they have the Rome set still there as well, so it can be repurposed for other similar productions. So I'm assuming that this is one of the reasons, not necessarily just for tourism, tours going around the studio, but also for future productions, of which I'm sure, if this movie is going to be an enormous success, there will be several Gladiator 2 type clones, as there was previously.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see. I am curious to see what kind of reviews this has had from other people. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't give it higher than a 6 out of 10. I know that sounds harsh, but I just didn't emotionally buy into the movie, and that for me was a massive problem. So just going to have a quick look through the headlines here. We got a 6 out of 10. There's no epic this time. I tried hard not to compare 2 with 1 whilst watching it, but they make it hard not to. This is very much a sequel, almost a remake. Yeah, I wouldn't call it that. An entertaining blockbuster, but lacks depth. I mean, there's plenty of like visual shots where you go, wow, that looks good. But if that's not underscored with emotional investment, so what? Unfortunately.
But the funny thing is that when we had the first one, which was, a hot mess when it was being made, and there were so many cooks, with their spoons stirring that great big pot. But the weird thing about that is, because of all of the arguments and the compromising and everything, they actually got a pretty good film out of it, considering the mess that they were in.
Yeah, you can tell that, like, when you watch Gladiator, the narrative of it, especially the last hour, is proper wonky, and there are some scenes that feel like they're out of order. I mean, I always said the moment where he turns around and reveals who he is in the first movie, that should be in the last 15 minutes of the film. That should be before they have their final fight.
But then you don't have any kind of any driving force behind anything that Commodus does, do you? If you have it early on, if you have it later, then Commodus has nothing really, nothing really to do. You know, he has
Well,
nothing to fight against.
there's all the scheming going on around him. I suppose, yeah, your point is well made. But I just always felt that no sooner had he got into the arena, the mystery of who is this gladiator is kind of revealed straight away. I just thought that was, I don't know.
I think the thing for me would be that this is missing Joaquin Phoenix, because I don't think there's any question, certainly in my opinion, the first movie was Joaquin Phoenix's movie. I thought he was just absolutely incredible. I loved him in that film. I thought he looked great. His costumes were amazing, were absolutely spectacular, but his performance was just, he was on fire. He was absolutely on fire in that movie. And I know that we're not going to get another actor of his caliber in this movie. I kind of had an idea that we weren't going to get another actor of his caliber, but I don't know. It was, another one of those movies where there wasn't really a sequel required. There was no sequel required.
No,
Nobody asked for it.
We definitely didn't need it. But somebody here's put this movie is why no one should let ChatGPT write their dialogue. See, this guy summed it up here. I really didn't care if the main character dies or lives. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And that is a big problem. If you don't care about the fate of the main character, why do you care about the film? What do you leave the film with? And feeling empty. So, a lot of the reviews here that have come out so far are pretty similar to what I've said.
But maybe there was a little bit of a mistake actually using the guy who wrote the Napoleon screenplay to write the screenplay for this. Maybe, maybe that was it.
You're just jealous you're jealous because you have more boots or some bollocks like that. It's like, what?
Yeah. No, you think you're so great because you have boats.
That's it. Yeah, it was equally ridiculous. Equally ridiculous.
I actually didn't mind that line. At least we all remembered it. I mean, honestly, right now, I can't remember any lines from this film. It's there's a big speech at the end, talking bollocks about now we all need to come together and all this kind of thing. And I just thought, but this character hasn't really, had I don't feel like there's been a big passage of time where everybody would know who this guy is. There's been no montage of him winning victory after victory in the arena. He's had a couple of fights. That's it. So big fights maybe, but it's not like there's a social media account going around Rome. I know chat spreads fast and all that, but this army comes back from somewhere else, and it's the general's army, and they're supposed to be taking the city, and they line up against this other army, and it's one of those moments where you already know that the big battle isn't going to happen. It's like, okay, we're not going to see a big scrap between these two armies, are we? So he's going to do a speech, and that's going to be the end of the movie, and that's pretty much what happens. And I was just like, but anyway, so well,
Ridley, you've done it again.
I wanted it to be good, or I certainly wanted it to be above average, but ultimately for me it was a letdown. And I will say the costumes were amazing. Costumes looked incredible, really good, lovely. Same lady as Napoleon, is it?
I believe. Also did Prometheus. Also did The Martian. Multiple Oscar winner. Fantastic woman. Absolutely fantastic woman. Just genius.
All right. Well, Those are the three that I mainly wanted to mention this week from myself. Stupenzo, what you got?
I watched a fun little movie called Let's Start a Cult.
Oh,
Pretty.
sorry. Hold on, my phone's going off. You carry on talking.
Of course, I was gonna. No, it's called Let's Start a Cult. It's got Stavros Milkos or whatever his name is, that ugly fat comedian guy from Cumtown. The podcast with Nick Mullen and what's the other guy's name? Can't remember, but Adam Friedland. They are, it's basically Stavros is a fat loser type character, you know. He's gross, he's fat, he's rude, he's crude, and he has joined a suicide cult. And naturally, the suicide cult hates him. He's basically kind of like a Tommy Boy type character, a Chris Farley, a lovable, fat, misguided, maybe party animal type character. And he is
sorry,
some kind of,
Can you give me the name? Can you give me the name of this again? Sorry.
Let's Start a Cult.
Let's
join a cult. I think it's Let's Start a Cult.
Okay.
It's got Stavros in it. Famous. You probably recognize him as soon as you see him. He's a very goblin-looking comedian. He's been making the rounds. He's doing very well for himself. He's very funny, and he wrote this movie. This is kind of like a fun little indie film. But yeah, it's basically he joins a suicide cult, a Jonestown type suicide cult with a cult leader, and I guess everyone hates him. And his suicide cult basically suicides without him. They're going to transcend to the heavenly plane without him as a punishment. But what he doesn't know is that the cult leader has actually faked his death, and he is going to try to start another cult. But Stavros finds him and tags along and basically insists that he's like secondary cult leader. And they're going to now start another cult. And do it right this time, go join the next level, the heavenly plane, on their own terms. And it's a pretty stupid movie, but just like every other dumb Chris Farley movie, it's like, it's stupid, but it's got a lot of funny parts and a couple really funny parts, it was good. It was good to laugh out loud at a movie for once, a new movie, It was good to have a scene happen where I was like, oh, God, that was funny. I've noticed that is very rare these days with movies. It's more common nowadays with TV, television shows. There's still plenty of hilarious television shows. But the movies, they're just really lacking. And this movie is cheap and lowbrow, low budget. But you know what? It had some laughs and it had some heart. And I recommend it.
What would you rate it out of 10?
Well, out of all movies ever made, I don't know, probably like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 compared to common comedies, especially recent comedies. Yeah, I'd give it like an 8 or a 9. It was funny. And it was, a little, like I said, a little lowbrow, a little crude. But like I said, its heart was in the right place. It wasn't mean spirited, it was good.
All right.
I predict good things for Stavros.
Okay, he's got a career of comedy ahead of him.
Yeah.
Inside Man, give me one of yours.
Well, I decided that I was going to go, considering that the weather's a little bit on the turn now, I thought I'd go something of a snowy theme. So I thought I'd dive right in with On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Okay.
Probably my all-time favorite Bond movie. I think the book is just staggeringly good, and this is probably, and I'm sure Luke, as an aficionado of Bond himself, would probably agree, or perhaps disagree, that this is perhaps the most accurate adaptation of any Bond novel so far. It's so close to the book. It's just a terrific film.
In the book,
I adore this movie.
In the book, does the villain have his secret base on top of a mountain, and it gets attacked by the helicopters with the commandos all jumping out? And does that happen in the book?
I think it does, doesn't it? I mean, I don't remember James Bond having Christmas dinner with Ed.
Pretty much. It's
Yeah. We've got time delay with Inside Man
Yeah,
again.
there was a lot that is very, very accurate though, to the book. It really is. The odd little change here and there, but it's still pretty. It's still very close. While most of the other James Bonds have sort of veered off from the book and kind of been better for it, but yeah, I'll give credit for on the Majesty's Secret Service because he does take a lot more chances, and it's kind of sad Sean Connery was fed up with Bond because this really would have helped his Bond become even more fleshed out than before. But it's still pretty good, and it's just kind of a shame George Lazenby didn't quite get it as well, and he probably should have had more of a chance to really start to get the feel of playing Bond, despite his very limited acting range.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on this film is I've always liked it. I really like the script. It's funny that you picked it, Inside Man, because I watched it 3 days ago. So I've watched it very, very, very recently.
Yeah,
and but there are.
I mean,
two...
it is context of the.
You've got problems with your audio, Inside Man. You're cutting in and out, so you may have to reboot and come back in. Or while we're waiting for him to do that, I'll just my thoughts on it are that George Lazenby is unfortunately wooden as fuck in it. I like him as a person. He seems all right, but he's just wooden in it. He's just very, very flat. And,
but he knew he wasn't an actor, though. He knew. I mean, he kind of bullshitted his way to the producers, didn't he? And he did come clean lately, and he said, listen, you just fooled one of the most ruthless producers ever into thinking you're an actor. I think you're going to be okay. And apparently I've heard he's very good in other stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a couple of reasons why.
No, I can confirm that he's not any good in any other stuff.
Isn't he?
Just for the record.
Well, I mean,
he's terrible.
The other thing that they did was they dubbed him for half the movie. Because,
That's right. With George Baker.
Yeah, when he's doing the posh English accent and he's sort of playing this Sir Basil Buthwaite or whatever the character's called. I can't remember who he's impersonating. His cover story. Yeah, and I remember the first time I saw this as a kid, and I was very confused because it took me about half an hour of watching the movie before I realised Lazenby was actually playing Bond. I was still waiting for Sean Connery to pop in or Roger Moore to pop up. So I found that quite confusing. And then, he just there's a line, for example, if you watch the gun battle at the end, which is great. I think it could have been a bit longer, but it's good. There's a line where he takes a gun off a guy and guns make me nervous. There's that line's because it's a repeat of a gag earlier in the film. And it's not even Lazenby saying the line. It's just dubbed over in post-production, like someone forgot to put it in. So there's stuff like that kind of irks me about it. But I do think that the plot, the story, the action ending, all of that stuff, and also the really grim ending for the movie was really brave. All of those things are really good about it. I'd quite like to see it remade with a better actor. Same plot exactly.
So would I. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with that. But as I was saying before, this is kind of a little bit of an anomaly compared to the rest of the Bond book, the Bond movies, because it is the most accurate. It is the most literal to the book, and it kind of makes me wonder sometimes. Why on earth didn't you stick with some of the source material in some of the books? Obviously, The Spy Who Loved Me was definitely out of the window in that respect. But I kind of quite like the Moonraker book, and I'd like to have seen a faithful adaptation of the Moonraker book. But this is quite it's quite dear to me, this film. I think the only aside from George Lazenby, and that's a big part of the movie, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Apart from having George Lazenby and George Lazenby being dubbed with George Baker,
Yeah.
apart from that, we have Telly Savalas as perhaps the strangest Blofeld I think there's ever been.
I mean, he
Just
works. I think he
he
works.
he does, but in the context of the other movies, it's like, you have this is almost a reboot. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
because when you
Bond,
because Bond kind of shows up clean shaven, bare faced to Blofeld, and he doesn't know him, even though
yeah,
he's seen him in You Will Only Live Twice. But then again, that's because in the books they're swapped over. You Only Live Twice is continues after On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
yeah, that was just. Wasn't it? You Only Live Twice, and then it was The Man with the Golden Gun, wasn't it? In terms of the books.
Yeah, and you can really tell Ian Fleming had died before he even had a chance to finish that book, because it really looks
Yeah,
like they were scrabbling along to get that story. But
yeah,
yeah, this is one where I thought the movie was better than the book, to be honest. I mean,
mm,
because in the book, Scaramanga's kind of just this cliche, bloody 1930s gangster, while in the
yeah.
movie is Christopher Lee. He's
Oh,
very suave, he's very
yeah,
classy, and he's
yeah,
actually very fun and very charming as well.
yeah. Yeah. He's got that real kind of sinister edge
Mm.
as well, and
Yeah,
and of course he himself, as you know, was a cousin of Ian Fleming's, and was also in the SOE, the Special Operations Executive, as well.
Mm.
yeah.
So
I think he was one of the few guys that Ian Fleming modelled Bond on as well. I mean, because there was loads of people
mm,
that he modelled it on.
yeah. But this, in terms of this movie, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, probably the best piece of Bond music ever.
Oh God,
Um,
yeah. Love
and
the
and
score.
without doubt, I think the best Bond song ever. All the Time of the World. It's still, every time I hear it, and it doesn't matter whether it's in the context of the movie or whether I hear it, I'm just listening to the song. It still brings a lump to my throat. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song. One of
Yeah.
John Barry's best compositions ever.
The only song not to appear at the beginning of a Bond movie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have that Morris Binder title sequence with all the clocks going backwards, and
Yeah.
now we
Yeah.
have little sort of glimpses of the past, and the egg timer and all of that kind of thing.
I
Um,
loved all that. I thought all of
yeah,
that
I do.
was
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Don't
kind of,
forget that
kind of.
brilliant ski chase as well. The ski
Oh,
chase is
with
just
Willy Bogner's.
fantastic.
Oh my God! I mean, because it was Willy Bogner, wasn't it, who coordinated all of those
Yeah.
ski chases?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you actually got the camera chasing George Lazenby, or his stuntman at least, and it really does give you that real adrenaline rush. You feel you're skiing down those mountainsides with
Yeah.
him.
And what was amazing was that Willy Bogner, he was actually given the camera as well. So he was skiing backwards. He was doing a lot of the shots of them coming down. So like the face-on shots as they're coming down. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's actually skiing backwards, and he devised these really unusual skis that sort of sloped up at both the back and the front. So he had decent control over the skis whilst he was filming. But I mean, just masterful camera work in this.
Well,
The
yes.
stunt
He
work
was
as
putting
well.
himself in danger doing it. He was really
Yeah,
risking his own safety doing that stuff because
yeah.
one of the things I really liked about the movie, which I mentioned already, was this climactic battle on top of this mountain, which they did
He's
for
Gloria.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah, and here it is on Google Earth. It's currently closed due to severe weather warnings, and when you see where it is, you can see why. So if I zoom in a bit, you'll see it. Here it is, and it was being built at the time of filming, so it wasn't actually open yet. It was pure chance that they happened to find out that this sort of revolving restaurant on sort of one of the highest in the world was almost ready to open, but hadn't yet had all the sort of proper furnishings and everything put in. So they basically paid a substantial amount of money to use it, but also negotiated a pretty good price on the basis that, of course, it would get a ton of publicity out of it, which it did. When you zoom out, you can see how remote it is. It's quite. It's not like there's a massive city nearby, you know. And then if you look at the weather conditions around it, you know, it's snow-capped mountains in pretty much every direction.
Yeah.
So this really is, yeah, it's right in the middle of very, 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 very mountainous terrain, with only small towns nearby. Yeah, I've always wanted to go up there, but you know,
my brother's actually been there. He kind of, I mean, he's a bit of a Bond fan, and also having worked on numerous Bond movies as well. So he kind of likes to visit as many of the extreme Bond locations as he possibly can. So he has actually been there, and he's got some amazing photographs of it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a place that I would love to go.
I know you can buy like a special mug, you know, if you've been there, with the sort of Bond. It's got like the Bond logo and stuff on the side, which I think is really cool. We might get copyright flagged for this, but I think we should have a quick look at the really cool scene that's in the movie. So let's have a butcher's. Yeah, and I'll just go here. Right, better stop it there.
Oh, yeah.
Much as I want to show more, but I do love that whole sequence, so that the Bond music comes on in a little bit. It should have come on a little bit earlier, I think. But it is still, when you consider that the interior set of that as well is not an interior studio set. They're in the Alpine room, actually on top of the mountain when they're filming that. It's only all the other rooms that were shot at Pinewood. So the one with the window out the back, that, you know, where the window, where the bullet holes appear on the window, that's on top of the mountain. So it's a pretty cool sequence.
Really
don't see them like that anymore, which is a shame. Yeah, I give that movie 8 out of 10. I've got to knock off 2 for Lazenby. It would be a 9 or a 10 for me otherwise. Right, it depends. I'm keen to know if you've seen it.
No. I mean, yeah, but I've seen all the Bond movies, but this one's like not really fresh in the memory.
Okay, so, no, that's fine.
Well,
so Northern and Inside Man, what would you give it?
See, as much as I want to knock stuff off Lazenby and the George Baker sort of post-sinking, I've got to give it a 10. It's probably my favorite Bond movie of all time.
Right. Damn. Okay. Northern?
Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, Lazenby's a little bit wooden, but you can still tell he's trying his best here. And I don't think he's the worst, because he like I said, he still seems to be passionate about playing the role, and he does still look like he's enjoying himself. And the story's pretty solid, and I do like Diana Rigg as well, as Tracy.
Diana, yeah, got to give props to Diana Rigg. She's absolutely fucking brilliant in this film.
Absolutely gorgeous woman as well, and
gorgeous,
she was very convincingly tough. She was very convincingly tough, and she still got her ass kicked a little bit, and when she has to take on a guard twice her size, but she still prevails.
This was another. This is another thing that really annoyed the Broccolis, was that when he did the tour for the movie, he grew this bloody beard, and that really angered them, because when he did the tour, they wanted him to look like Bond, and he got all a bit poncy and was like, "Well, now I'm a serious actor. I want to show them I can do other roles."
Yeah, he thought that he was one of the Beatles. That's what he thought, because he was kind of into all this kind of Zen Buddhism, all that kind of stuff, and listening to all that sort of music. And he decided that he wanted to turn up at the premiere like some kind of weird hippie. Not that there's anything wrong with being a weird hippie, but it just didn't fit George Lazenby. I think he had a higher opinion of himself than anybody else did.
Yeah, because I think if they if he'd played the game, they probably would have got him a really good acting coach, and
Yeah.
they probably would have let him do at least one more film. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that
Did
would have
you
been a good thing, but
did you ever see that really shitty film that he did? I think it was about 1972, 73, called Universal Soldier. It's absolute garbage. It's absolute
Jean-Claude
garbage.
Van Damme?
No, unfortunately not. I
Oh,
wish it was.
okay.
And
yeah,
and
I mean that
I
was.
love that movie.
I like that
Yeah.
movie as well. I was going to say, I don't remember George Lazenby being
I was like,
in
Dolph
Yeah,
Lundgren wears a necklace made out of human ears. Come on,
Yeah.
what's not to like?
yeah. He plays a kind of a secret agent come arms smuggler. It's absolute shit. It's absolute shit, and he's the shittest thing in it. It's terrible, terrible movie. It's
I've
available on
seen
YouTube if you want to watch it. It's available on YouTube for everybody to enjoy. So it's called
Sweet.
Universal Soldiers.
I feel like
Soldiers, okay.
I feel like we may have to do a special on it.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a picture of it here, and as you can see, he's going for the hairy chest,
Dennis
long.
Hopper look.
Jermaine Greer is in it. My God. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen Calvin Dyson has talked about this, and yeah, it's a really bizarre film. He really hated it.
Okay, like George Lazenby with that hair. Now imagine James Bond with that haircut. Like, would you, yay or nay? I'm here for it. Why hasn't has James Bond ever had a mustache? And if not, why not?
He had a beard. He had a beard in Die Another Day.
Oh yeah, that's true. He did. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's kind of during his frazzled phase.
Yeah, why doesn't James Bond do like the Jackal thing where he's always got like awesome new hairstyles and facial hair designs? You know, like what, like that? Wouldn't that be cool? Because he's like a man of mystery. I don't know. It's an idea.
Has anybody else seen the Jackal? By the way,
Yeah, we talked about it.
No, I mean not everybody saw it though. I wondered if anybody else had seen it since I watched it. I know.
I haven't.
No. And it is Universal Soldier. It's not plural.
Okay.
And it's a double A. That means it's slightly naughty.
That's right.
Yeah, you got Jermaine Greer on there as well for some reason. It's
You can tell this is the 80s re-release poster, right? Because it's from the producers of Platoon and Hoosiers, meaning this must be a good film. Universal Soldier. And that's definitely not Lazenby in this shot. And this actress probably isn't even in the movie.
Looks like Mariah Carey.
Mercenary armies, explosive action, and one man's disenchantment. That's a terrible log line.
There are times when the Britishness in a movie is absolutely perfectly well done. This is a time where the Britishness in a movie of this nature is so it doesn't require it. If this was in America, I would have bought this movie, but it's just too British.
Stupenzo, do you want to see if you can find the trailer for this on YouTube?
I suppose.
Luke, what have you got, mate, this week? What do you want to talk about the Penguin?
Oh yeah, I just watched the very first Rambo movie, First Blood, and
yes.
Have you only just seen it?
No. It's been a while, but yeah, it's one of those films I don't watch for a while, but when I finally get around to watching it again, I'm like,
I mean, tonally, it's completely different to all of the other films in the franchise.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
it's a different.
Yeah, I still don't like how gung ho or kill crazy the bloody sequels are. I mean, it kind of undermines the very poignant message it was talking about traumatized vets in the first one.
Yeah, I mean, this First Blood is a really really grounded, quite serious movie about PTSD.
Exactly. Here's a little thing about this movie. Right now, I think we all know that this was based on a book, right? But this book, at the time of it being written, it was so it was so well received by critics and professors at university, etc. This book actually became set text in American colleges at the time,
Right.
because it was considered to be an extremely important piece of work, a very, very important book about, the attitude towards, soldiers coming home from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, we had, as Luke had pointed out, the sequels, um, and then everything came crashing down around its ears. So it was pulled from colleges as being set text. And that was, it was that movie, the second movie, that was responsible for it.
Mm.
Oh, what a fantastic choice, mate! What a fantastic choice to bring up today. So please, I'm busting to hear what you think of it.
Yeah, one thing: do not drink scotch when it gets to the ending, because it brings some feelings, man. You get feelings. It does. It's
Mm, mm,
and yet he just breaks it down. I mean, he's all that stuff he's just bottled up. He's just held in for so long, this trauma, and he's talking about his friends, like his friend's dying, and he wants to go home, and he's like, "I can't find your legs. I can't find his legs." It's heartbreaking, and you can see. I think Stallone's not even acting. I think he really is breaking down.
yeah.
That was
But- and it
good,
does-
really good scene.
Yeah, I had a great story about ex I had from Russia. She's from Uzbekistan. She didn't grow up watching all these movies, and she liked watching all these movies, but she didn't like Stallone. And I was like, Rocky, First Blood, and she's like, Rambo. She was thinking like First Blood was like the sequels, And I remember showing her First Blood, dude, and like, first of all, she's hooked in like the first 10 minutes. And yeah, when that scene happened, dude, she was like sobbing hysterically, like crying, like, oh my God. I was like, yeah. So take back what you said about Sylvester Stallone. He's got some good movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good film. This is my favorite scene, when he goes through the police station. When he snaps and he just goes through the whole guys like they weren't even there.
Yeah, because your reaction when it starts happening, when it kicks off, isn't like, yeah, get him. It's more like, oh no, this is bad.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting worse and worse and worse by the minute.
Yeah, and the thing is, these coppers have total disrespect for him. Even when they find out he's a soldier, they still go out their way to humiliate him, and it is kind of disgusting as well. Because I mean, cause like you said, it goes back to Vietnam, where they came home and everybody's spitting on them, calling them baby killers. And it's
well, everyone knows the trivia that Sylvester Stallone very thoughtfully decided to edit out a lot of his scenes and shorten the movie to about 90 minutes, which made the movie like 10 times better. There were a lot of scenes where he's involved, just running around the woods, and it really just ruins the pacing of the movie. And then the other thing is, according to the book, difference of the book is like they kind of paint Rambo as a villain, and the Brian Dennehy sheriff character is like the more of the hero, whereas making him kind of making all the cops like just like unreasonably cruel just works. Also, obviously in the book he's supposed to die. But
David Crusoe is probably the only one who's like sympathetic a little bit. He's the only one trying to be reasonable, but he's still the young rookie, isn't he? And
he's so young in the movie. This was the film that introduced me to Brian Dennehy, and as soon as I'd seen it, because I saw this film on video, I was too young to see it in the movies, and wasn't tall enough yet, shall we say? As soon as we rented it, when it dropped on video, I think that was probably around end of '83, maybe, and it was one of the first films me and my buddy Paul rented out. It was certainly, I remember the first time we went to the video store, there was a poster for it, like coming soon, and people were talking.
MI.
Yeah, that's right. And I think next time we went in, it was in, but it was rented out. So what we did was we reserved it, so the next weekend we could get it. But yeah, it was a great movie. I mean, the scene where the guy falls out the helicopter. Man,
Oh yeah.
he kind of did that to himself. All he had to do was just
victim blaming. Luke, really?
Yeah, but
he
now,
brought himself. He did.
But once that bit's happened, that character's called Galt, I think. You know, it's gone to murder because up to that point he's only injured people. You know, but it's
yeah, he only stabbed a bunch of cops in the legs, and
he killed a couple of dogs as well.
But there's quite a high kill count. Let's just say the blood does flow in the book. It's pretty gruesome, the book. But it's interesting you talk about that scene where he's. Sorry, mate, please go ahead.
I think The Hunted by William Friedkin seems to be more accurate to the First Blood novel, because that is about a traumatized veteran who has kind of gone on this killing spree.
There was another version of this of the book that was made some years prior to this, and I can't remember the name of the film, and it's with Dirk Benedict, and for goodness sake, I wish I could remember the title of it.
Is that Coming Home? Is it Coming Home or something like that?
It could well be. It could well be. So literally the first 20 minutes of the movie is First Blood, and then all of a sudden it turns into some kind of goofball comedy, you know, sort of Smokey and the Bandit type thing, which is really odd. And it's a shame because the beginning is pretty good and it's pretty accurate to the book.
That sounds like a producer came on set, saw some early scenes, went, "This is too violent. I thought we were making a comedy," and clearly demanded changes. And then suddenly you got to be. That's what always happens. That you can spot it in a movie when that's happened. You know.
But that scene where he falls through the trees, through the branches, and he's hitting all the branches as he goes down. That's him. Yeah. And he really did break ribs in that. I think he broke ribs and had some fractures and some pretty bad injuries, but something that he wanted to do. But what a great choice of film. Yeah, I mean, and the soundtrack, the Jerry Goldsmith score as well. I think it's one of Jerry Goldsmith's greats. Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, I really like it. Good film, the best of the Rambo movies by far.
By far.
And I mean, in a way, it's kind of a shame that they made sequels. And in a way, it's a shame that they made the sequels that they did. Not that they're not entertaining films in their own realm. And a lot of people don't like Rambo 3, but I actually really enjoyed that one. But I think I could have equally enjoyed a movie that followed him coming out of prison after this, and just showing the kind of problems that he had trying to have a normal life without it being an action film. Could have been a really good, hard-hitting, serious drama. I know that to a lot of people that probably sounds quite boring, but you know, it would have been really interesting to see the character trying to form relationships and stuff like that, you know, with women and how that would work. And there's probably a movie to be made about that.
Of course, the major change from the book is that, and got to warn everybody now, he dies at the end in the book. So, so if you don't want to, have a real bummed out time by reading the book, just watch the movie, and you'll be a little bit less bummed out. Yeah, it's, but just out of curiosity, what did you think of Rebel Ridge?
Yeah, we reviewed it.
I think it was Toxic, wasn't it? That was talking about it.
Were you not here that week? Because we did.
Yeah, I was. I was, but I had nothing to contribute because I hadn't actually seen it at that point.
I thought it was a good film. I thought it was a good film. Yeah, I loved it. I think it pushed the reality of a little bit. So again, it was a hyper. What I call a hyper reality, like, you know, if this guy did these things in this in a reality, I don't think these things would happen. But if you accept that it's kind of a hyper reality, Simon Berry's watching. I'm due to have a phone conference with him right after this. So Simon is due to play Steve McQueen in my Magnificent Seven play. If you look at his picture, you can probably see that. So. When and where we're staging it, we've no idea at this present time. So, you know. Anyway, so let's give this a rating quickly, and I want to jump back to Stupenzo, see what else he's got. So I give it a 9 out of 10.
Same.
Same.
Yeah, same. Yeah, easy.
Nice.
Easy 9.
It's
So,
Mom's second favorite movie behind Die Hard.
All right. Well, Stupenzo, I'm just going to put myself on mute for a second, but tell me what you got.
Well, did Lord Toxic bring up Saturday Night? If not, I'm going to do it. I watched Saturday Night, which was what's his name? Jason Reitman's Saturday Night Live movie. I watched it because Lord Toxic recommended it. We talked about it briefly on Sunday. But yeah, it was a great movie. I wouldn't say great, but it wasn't hilarious. But it was definitely a well-made, like anxiety-inducing kind of ensemble piece leading up to the first broadcast of the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. And yeah, even though it's about a kind of improvish sketch comedy show, the show was run kind of on a whim, kind of like, wherever the breeze takes us is very, whatever hits the wall and sticks type attitude. But the way they made the movie was very choreographed, very scripted, very rehearsed, and it was cool. And yeah, all the actors, some of them don't really look like the characters they're playing, but it didn't matter. They were all, like we talked about yesterday on Sunday, like these kids were all channeling these Saturday Night alumni greats. You got Chevy Chase and John Belushi and Aykroyd and Gilda Radner and all of them, and also Lorne Michaels. This kid who plays Lorne Michaels, I mean, he's just got his eyes. He does the look with his eyes. He's got that look. And yeah, the kid who plays Bauman, he plays Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman, and the guy who did George Carlin was spot on. And yeah, it's just a bunch of chaos leading up to the very first episode, the 90 minutes leading up to the show. And yeah, it's just really, really fun movie. Showed it to Meg, she liked it. Showed it to Mom, she liked it. It was just cool. I guess more nostalgia bait, you could call it. Definitely puts a smile on your face, reminding you of a time that once was a better time. Some of the jokes that they're rehearsing aren't that funny. Because it's a very you could kind of put yourself in the shoes of the 70s, how this was so edgy and cool and fresh. This style of pushing buttons, this comedy, these young people just trying to be out there and try new things. It was cool.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I'm definitely up for this movie.
I mean, yeah, overall, I'd give it like a good 7.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It was fun.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and really well made, really well put together. They got one of those like Birdman style like drum soundtracks. That's pretty cool. I think the guy who plays who did the song? Who was the fifth Beatle? That black dude who did Nothing from Nothing. What's his name? Come on. You guys running in circles.
What,
he was like the fifth Beatle. They called him like the fifth Beatle. Running in circles.
Brian something. Brian Epstein.
Oh, God, no! Don't say that name around here.
What you talking about? What you talking about? George Martin.
That's him.
No, that's not him. I'm just stalling for Lance here, honestly. Let's see here. Might as well Google it here. Nothing from Nothing. It's by, good Lord, Billy Preston. My God, Billy Preston.
Oh, right. Okay.
Billy Preston's great. But yeah, he is the musical guest. And thank you, Lord Toxic. You got it already, right at the same time. Yeah, very good performance by that actor. And he apparently does the music to the movie, which was cool. So yeah, it was fun. Bunch of fun stuff. And Paul Smith, a bunch of middle-aged anti-woke men talking bollocks. You're talking about us right now? I don't think so. We're over here. Yeah, that's my show you're thinking of.
How are we anti-woke? We're talking about just good films here.
Yeah. Saturday Night was fun. And yeah, props to Willem Dafoe. He's really good in this. And so is who else was a big standout? I thought the guy who played Dan Aykroyd was pretty great. Dylan something or other. Yeah, good stuff. Fun movie. Another thing I'd like to recommend is the Hallmark Christmas movie. Sorry, it's not Hallmark. It's Reel One, and it makes fun of Hallmark Christmas movies. This one was called. It's got 2 titles, which is annoying. It's called Just Like a Christmas Movie is the first title, but the title you're probably going to find it is Waking Up to Christmas. And what's funny is there's 2 versions of this movie. Just Like a Christmas Movie is a slightly more cynical version.
Sorry, I'm back. Have we moved on to a Hallmark movie already?
Yeah, you took too long, so I'm taking the wheels here.
But how have we gone from Saturday Night to a fucking Hallmark Christmas film already? What's the name of it again? What one? What are you talking about this week?
Just Like a Christmas Movie is what it's called.
Okay, I'll find it. Carry on.
It's a fun, stupid story. It's meta. It's actually, it could have been a good big budget movie. This could have been a theatrical movie. The pitch, the idea. You got a woman who is a businesswoman. She is going to vacation Christmas time in Bali on the beach. She's making fun of her sister for taking Christmas so seriously. And it turns out her plane gets detoured to a small town where it's very crappy and everything sucks. And she, for some reason, goes into a coma or something, or falls asleep and wakes up in literally a Hallmark Christmas movie, which is pretty cool. Everything is like super Christmassy, and she meets the handsome young stranger who, his mom. The hotel's book up. You can stay at our house. And he's like, oh, mother, this woman doesn't like Christmas. We can't have her stay with us. And then there's like a handsome dentist and a Christmas fair she has to bring up. But she's aware that she's in a Christmas movie, which is neat. So she's like playing by all the rules. It's like Last Action Hero. But instead of action movies, it's Hallmark Christmas movies. It was really stupid. I loved it.
That's great.
And no, I'm not a Hallmark shill because this is not a Hallmark movie. This is Hallmark's competitor, Reel One, who you might notice have been making a lot of these Hallmark knockoff Christmas movies, and more props to them. So Hallmark cannot have the monopoly on the lame Christmas straight to streaming movies. Okay, so. I would recommend this one, especially if you have a lady who's forcing you to pick one of these, pick this one. It'll be better than the others. I'm not going to say it's good or anything. You might not like it. I enjoyed it, but yeah.
I'm going to pick up on a comment here in the chat from Paul Smith, who says, I assume this is referring to us, a bunch of middle-aged anti-woke bollocks. Well, we're talking about a Hallmark Christmas movie with a woman in the lead.
I think he just came in and said that before he started watching it, and he realized, oh wait,
I don't think you really thought that comment through, mate. But if you want to come on and talk about it, I'll give you the link. You can come in if you want. So,
how dare you? I'm very woke. I'm extremely woke, and I'm young as well. So I'm barely out of my teens.
Can I go back to Saturday Night? What would you would you give that out of 10?
I said a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10, and probably historically accurate. Or it could all be highly exaggerated for all I know. But the stories seem pretty believable, and it just seemed like a really fun ensemble piece.
It's it's based on the first ever performance of Saturday Night Live, isn't it? And all the things that went wrong and whatnot. I've seen the first 20 minutes of it. I haven't seen the rest of it.
It's one of those movies that just keeps going and going. It's like, it's just like a nonstop train, just building up to it is kind of, like I said, anxiety inducing kind of to a degree.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll talk about the Penguin next. What would you give Just Like a Christmas Movie?
I'd give 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. It's fun. But I mean, compared to the Hallmark Christmas stuff, it's definitely one of the higher ones. If you compared all those, probably 8 out of 10 if you compared it to all of them.
I quite like the idea of somebody waking up in a Hallmark Christmas movie. That's kind of a good.
If this was a theatrical movie with big cast and big crew and some actual, edgier jokes, this could have done well. This is a good concept.
Well, thank you for those 2 recommendations. I'm sure we'll have more fun Christmas movies to recommend
every week until Christmas.
Every week until Christmas. The Penguin. Everyone's talking about it. We should cover it before we wrap up. Who has seen it?
I did not finish it. I still have 1 or 2 episodes left.
So, Inside Man hasn't seen it at all, so it's just me and Northern that have seen it. I think. Is that right?
Yes, and and it's been a really great show. I mean, it's very well written, and I can't complain. It might be one of my favourite shows of this year.
I have to say, I thought that the ending was brilliant, but the funny thing, I remember when we talked about it at the beginning, and I said I'm not sure about the young kid. And if you go back and you watch the episode where we talk about him, I say, however, if the penguin kills him at the end, that'll be brilliant. Remember, I said that on this show. You can go back and you can watch it. I've checked.
It's also just like the Lee Bermejo Joker run, except instead of the Joker, it's the Penguin. This is literally the same book, except you switch the main character.
And this time you're not supposed to sympathise with him. He is an absolute piece of shit. He really is. He's
yeah. So I mean,
they make no apologies about the things he does. And we kind of did see this coming, but God, it was still brutal. It was still brutal.
I mean, I the funny thing with it was I wasn't sure I completely bought into his reasoning, because at the end of the day, if he wants to run the city, he's got to have loyal men, doesn't he? And this guy was loyal to a T. So,
but he's a psychopath, isn't he? It doesn't matter who's loyal to him as long as he gets on top. It doesn't matter how many people he fucks over.
My reasoning for his actions was that he was becoming to like him, and that would make him vulnerable. Therefore, he had to kill him. That's my take on it. I think it's great. I thought the ending was amazing. And yeah, good show, really well acted, good show overall. I mean, we're one and done. I don't think Colin Farrell wants to play the role again. So
I think there is going to be a second season, and I don't want it to be. I think it's a done and dusted series. It's the story has started. And
I heard the next Batman movie is technically going to be the second season of the show.
Yeah, in a way, is it? But as the actual series for this, it's just a standalone little story that leads into the next Batman movie, in my opinion.
People in the chat, if you've seen all of the Penguin, give the overall rating out of 10. What did you think? Where do you stand with it? I will give this show, again, bearing in mind that it was quite a big deal for me to watch this. I just don't like watching any more comic book stuff, really, because I just find them all so boring. But overall, I thought this was really solid. Yeah, I'd give it like 8.5 to 9 out of 10. It was surprisingly good, and I did enjoy watching it, especially because of the performances of the leads. That was what did it for me.
Christine Milioti as well, especially. Jesus Christ, yeah, that is how you do. This is how you do a girl boss. I mean, they give her context, they give her motives, they make you understand why she is the way she is, and it's not forced. It actually feels very well developed.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a crush on her as well.
Yeah.
There's something
everyone's sipping over this lady. I'm like, she's all right. I mean, come on.
I was about to elaborate further. There's something very charismatic about her. She's got an aura. You know, there's an aura about her in the movie as well. It's just very, you know, if you were one of her henchmen, you would follow her into battle. It's that kind of vibe.
I mean, she got those big, beautiful doe eyes, and you know, she got a nice body, and she's. I think
that's why she's so convincingly creepy when she wants to be. She's got those big eyes that could be innocent, but at the same time, she's using them as a way to look at people and call out their bullshit.
Well, remember the Black Mirror episode she's in, where Jesse Plemons is like obsessed with her and locks her away into a prison, basically. So she might not be into the simpery is what I'm getting at, guys.
Yeah.
Also, she seems like the kind of lady who, when she's angry at you, it's like not cool. Like, you know what I mean? She seems like she's gonna be an annoying woman to be involved in romantically. She seems high maintenance, is what I'm saying.
Who says we want to get romantic with her?
Inside Man, before we wrap up, did you have anything else you wanted to give a shout out to?
Yeah. like I said, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a snowy season thing as the weather's drawing to, it's sort of winter edge. So I also
Mm.
watched Where Eagles Dare.
Ah, now you're talking. That gets a massive section in my new book. Oh, this is your cue for your line.
Oh, I was going to say, so you got a book? When's that?
I
When's that
have.
coming
I've
out?
got a
Then?
new book. I've got a new book coming out.
Tell me more.
Well, just tell us more about Where Eagles Dare first.
All
I don't want to
right.
be
Okay, Where
stealing your
Eagles Dare.
thunder.
Arguably one of the best, men on a mission movies ever made.
Yeah.
Just if you haven't seen it, I wish I could talk about this for an hour, but
Well, I don't think I've done a Where Eagles Dare stream yet, so let's do one, Inside Man. We could do it on one
that
of the
would be
Sundays.
Yes.
Because I don't
Yeah.
think I'm going to start the Shield season 2 until next year now.
Okay. So listen, I'll actually reserve this then
Yeah.
until we do that, if that's okay. And I'm just gonna jump in with Hateful Eight. I watched Hateful Eight as well, which I think is an amazing movie. Another
Tarantino's film.
Yeah, just incredible. What
It
a
is
piece
good.
of work.
It is a good movie. Which version of it did you see? Because I think there's 3. One of them is much longer than the other 2. There was the initial release,
Yeah.
and then there was then Quentin did a special tour with a 70mm print of it, which had, I think, an additional 11 minutes. And then I think there was also another version. And by the way, I give Where Eagles Dare 9 out of 10. Yeah, but do you know which version you saw?
I saw the standard theatrical release.
Okay. Yeah, it's still very good.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most beautifully shot movies I think you're ever likely to see. It's and it's full of intrigue and mystery and some great plot twists, brilliant characters, fantastic acting. What an amazing script! And we nearly didn't get this movie because some arsehole
Leaked
the script
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
So we almost didn't get this. I mean, he must have been apoplectic when that happened.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of work that he'd put into not just the script, but pulling the movie together, he must have been beside himself. Almost, I think he said that he was almost grieving, when that had actually happened, that he felt like the project was dead and he was grieving for its loss. But this is another movie that reminds me of how much I absolutely detest Disney because of how they stiffed him. Of
Right.
how they stiffed him on the release of this when he had this in certain theaters. It was booked well in advance. That showed this in its 70mm format, and the theater chain was approached by Disney, and they said, if you don't dump Hateful Eight and take Star Wars, we will never use your movie chain, your theater chain, ever again. And of course, they had no choice, so they dumped it. They dumped Hateful Eight, and of course they replaced it with The Force Awakens.
Yeah, that was worth. That was worth doing.
Yeah.
Um,
So that, and it just, every time I watch this, it reminds me why I hate Disney so much, which is great. And also the fact that this is
which is great.
Yeah, but this is the thing, isn't it? This movie is the thing. It's his second version of the thing. His first version of the thing was Reservoir Dogs. This is his second version of the thing. And obviously he has the lead character from the thing, but also he has all of the sort of offcuts of Ennio Morricone's score, which were all off the shelf, apart from a couple of little cues that Ennio Morricone did. Because he didn't like Ennio. It's weird, isn't it? He didn't like Ennio Morricone's score for it, so he said, I want it more like the thing. And Ennio Morricone said, well, I've got all these different cues that weren't used for the thing, so what about those? So he started listening to them, used all the different cues from the thing, and Ennio Morricone won an Oscar for it. How's that?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, what would you give the Hateful Eight out of 10?
It's a 9. Easy
Yeah,
9.
I'd give it
Terrific.
a 9.5 even.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to give it a quick rating before I plug my
Yeah,
book?
give it an 8 out of 10. And it's not as I think Django Unchained was a bit more fun, but I do still like Hateful Eight. I don't think it deserved the hate that the Hateful Eight got from me.
So
I love a good movie that's like cozy cabin movies or cozy cave movies to watch on a snowy day and eat soup to. And the Hateful Eight is probably like the best of all of those. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
The thing is,
I'd eat mini stew with this.
So my book now has a cover, as you can see, designed by the one and only Stupenzolicious, who's with us now.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting it up on the screen. I have gone with this title, Silver Screen Journeys. If people like the title, or if you don't, even let me know in the chat. I am on the final chapter as we speak. I've been writing some of it and proofreading some of it and alternating, and I've got 3 days left to finish this. The deadline is Friday. So to get it out in time for the 1st of December. As you can see, the foreword has been written by the Critical Drinker for the book. So that's very kind.
Never heard of the bloke. Who's he then?
So yeah, he's got a few subscribers, slightly more than us. But yeah, it's which is very kind of. I'm very grateful to Wil for that. He's just got back from doing a little tour in America. Yeah, and another friend of ours has also got a book coming out. We're going to do a special on that, and I'll get Toxic to come on and talk about his book more extensively another time. So we won't do that now. But one of our good friends has also got a book out, and I'm all about promoting people's stuff. So yeah, so it's nearly there. For anybody who is unaware of what it's about, it's 101 plus movies that I went to see between 74 and 2024. It's not a film criticism book. I do say what I think about the movies. I don't do full reviews or full analysis of them. I do occasionally do some bits of trivia and things, but mostly it's about the memories I have attached to those films and what those films meant to me going forwards in life and when I went back to them. And I'll give you an example. So in particular, I focus on movies that have taken huge chunks out of my life. So if I pick Bridge Too Far as an example, Bridge Too Far got me interested in Operation Market Garden. As a result of that, I played board games on the subject. I bought books on the subject. I eventually went to Holland and went to all the battlefields on the subject. I met veterans. I've wrote screenplays set during that operation. So if you think about all the time that one film has in a way stolen from me, and I use the word stolen not in a negative context, but just in terms of it being a segue into these things. That's a huge chunk. That's a huge impact that film has had. I talk about a James Bond film that's had a similar impact in a different context. And so there's a lot of stuff like that. Now, originally the book ended with Top Gun Maverick, which was the first film I saw coming out of lockdown because that felt appropriate. But I suddenly remembered something that had happened at a screening of a friend of mine. And I talk about my father in the book, who I miss very dearly, quite a lot, because I always talk about the people that I saw the movie with. And so, you're going to hear about the first film I saw with my dad. You're going to hear about the last film I saw with my dad and all of the ones in between. And something happened with a friend of mine's father at his film screening. I don't want to say what, because I don't want to spoil the ending of the book, but that I suddenly remembered that story, and that happened this year, and that seemed a far more appropriate ending. So that went in, and I sent that ending to a drinker and said, "What do you think of this?" And yeah, he said, "Yeah, that's really moving." So yeah, so that cinema on the cover is the first cinema I ever went to. It's now Morrison's. But there you are. So that's the book. Sorry, Northern. Did you you were jumping in to say something there? Was there something else you wanted?
Kind of forgotten it now. It's gone. It's gone. It's totally gone.
It's probably about 8 for 8. Goonies is not in the book. No, and this is not this is my 101 best films of all time. Don't be thinking that. And I explain that in the sort of preface. There's a preface chapter where I just talk about movies in general. This is not what that book's about. Sure, I think probably 50 of the films I've picked probably would be in my top 100. 50 of them definitely wouldn't, but they've got a specific story attached to them that I think most people will resonate with, or people will find interesting, because everybody remembers the first movie they saw as a kid. That's why it's one of the first questions I always ask in my interview. Everybody remembers the first film they saw when they came out of lockdown, if they went back to the cinema, which a lot of people haven't done, by the way. So there's a lot of things which are they're gonna ignite something for you in this book, I think, and I'm hoping it will resonate with a lot of people. So the answer to this question is no, it's not available as an option. So yeah, there we are. Did anyone want to comment on that before I move on?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Just got to read it. So
sorry, Stupenzo, go ahead.
I said the same thing. Excited to read it.
Okay, well, all of you guys get a mention in it, as do quite a few other people. So
I did not consent to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, no consent is required. So unlucky for you. I'm afraid by virtue of being my co-host, your consent is automatically given. So more importantly,
I never signed a contract with you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's why you get paid the big bucks. More importantly, tomorrow we have Cindy Pickett coming on the channel. Really excited for this interview. And also on Monday, I had Michael Helfenfenner. I'm sure I've mispronounced the name. Who made the zombie movie. He came on yesterday. That was really fun. Do check that out. That's already up and out there.
Question about Cindy Pickett.
Yeah.
Is it true that she met her husband, who was the dad on Ferris Bueller?
Yeah.
And she's the mom, and that they got married in real life? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool
I
story.
mean, they're not married now. So I'm not sure whether to talk to her about that, and I'm going to check if we can. But
well, you bring up Ferris Bueller and see if she brings it up, I guess.
Yeah.
Just ask her how Ferris is anyway.
Yeah,
she had some rocking hair in Ferris Bueller, didn't she?
Yeah. No, very 80s kind of,
Yeah.
But I always thought she was a very underrated actress. I just rewatched Echoes of the Darkness again in preparation for this. I've already rewatched America recently, and tomorrow I'm gonna stick Deep Star 6 on. So, which is a great Roger Corman movie that I really enjoy. Yeah. So Cindy Pickett tomorrow at 9 o'clock. People, do turn up for that one. It's going to be good. And you do put your questions in the chat, because you don't always. I mean, listen, I welcome super chats. I'm not a man with high financial means in any sense, but I do try and put all the questions up, because at this stage I can still do that. There will come a time when I can't do that. So get your questions into my guests now. But yeah, okay. So Stupenzo, what you got coming up?
Well, I think I just released a video 5 minutes ago. It's a first short video I've done in a while. It's a highlight from Sunday's stream. We were rocking it well until like almost 5 a.m. So a lot of people dipped out and missed the last good 10 minutes of the last 20 minutes. I went ahead and made it a highlight. It's about my talented son, make sure you guys check that out. It's pretty hilarious. And then before that, day before that, yesterday, I really did a live stream talking about The Swan. There's an intense 3-hour show or stream where we talk about this 2004 insane reality show. It's a beauty pageant where they take a bunch of ugly women with low self-esteem, give them a bunch of plastic surgery, and put them in a beauty pageant. It was insane. We watched the first and last episode, saved you guys a bunch of 8 hours, by doing that.
Yeah,
so that was fun. And then
I remember that show. I remember that show. It was absolutely batshit nuts.
Yeah, bonkers. And then the day before that, Sunday night, we did a live stream, broke down the Mike Tyson fight. Also talked about some other great fights, boxing matches, boxing movies. That was a fun time. And and tomorrow, speaking of Mike Tyson, in honor of the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, I got a We Watch coming out about intergalactic alien boxing called Arena.
We talked about
we talked about you guys know Arena. Yeah, me and Dudicus did a full-length commentary riff of Arena, and that is coming out tomorrow. We're a human contender, the first time in either 1,000 years or 50 years, depending on if you're reading the poster art or watching the movie. A human contender might be champion in this great alien boxing federation. So that was a fun ass movie. It was actually really good too. It was decent. It was well written. It was a fun movie. So I recommend it.
that we've interviewed 2 people that worked on that. And then also I had Jeffrey Byron on last week, who of course has worked with Charlie Band several times.
A lot of love went into that movie. You could tell. As silly as it is.
The big alien with the really long legs is kind of cool. Yeah,
he had really long nipples too for some reason, which you talked about. So
the guy who was involved in constructing that, Jeff Farley, makeup artist, he worked on most of the stuff on Arena. His interview is on my channel. So
it's a good interview.
So that's what I had and have coming up. So check it out. I'm over 500 subs now. I'm just shy of the watch hours. So I think if a couple of people just pick a few of those We Watches in the big playlist, or just play the playlist on a repeat, on a loop, I think that'll get me over soon.
I'll try and I have actually had some of your stuff on in the background when I've been working. So
you get 100+ hours of free movie riffing entertainment, and I get the 4,000 watch hours. It's coming soon. So I'm excited.
Good. Well, Northern, you got anything you want to plug quickly?
Just my new my MCU reviews coming up. I mean, right now is Infinity War.
It's live on YouTube now. How dare you drop it at the same time as my stream? That's so rude.
It's been booked. It's 12 o'clock every night.
Well, we're overtime. I'll let you off. We are running overtime now. So okay. I saw that's just dropped. And you've got, what film are you doing on Friday?
Well, it won't be a film. It would be like a top 5, Miami Vice Series 1, since it's 40 years now since it first aired.
I did want to be on that, but because I'm doing the book, I think it's unlikely that I'll get there. But if I have
completely understandable. Inside Man, you're invited if you want to come on. Stupenzolicious.
Oh, bless you. Is that this Friday, mate? This Friday?
This Friday, yeah. It's going to be a little later, maybe around about 9 o'clock.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Depends if I'm back.
Send you a message on Twitter to ask her.
I'll have to check my Twitter. I'll have to check on my social media regularly. I'm just useless like that.
Okay. Very good. We've had quite a few people watching tonight. If there's some new people to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Check out all the other content, including especially the industry interviews, which are the meat of the channel. I have got a special on JFK, which originally was going to be this Friday, but I'll be telling my co-hosts why I had to move that shortly when we go off air. That has now been moved to this Sunday, the 24th. So we won't be doing it on the anniversary, but a couple of days afterwards, I've got History Bro coming on to talk to me about that, Oliver Stone's JFK. And I think Inside Man, you were originally going to come on that. So if you do want to come on that on Sunday, which means now you can do both that and Miami Vice,
Brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome to.
Oh, bless
come
you.
on, but
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
but
you
it
very
got
much.
got moved to Sunday. Yeah. So, guys, that's it from us. Thanks very much to everybody in the chat who put the comments. Even Paul Smith, who voiced his displeasure. But I think you'll find that we're quite a balanced and fair review team. I like to think so.
Yeah, he's been on the show before, though. So was he trolling or is he genuinely not liking us?
he was just having a laugh. He was. Just
I think
having
it was.
I hope so. Yeah, Paul Smith, if you're watching, sorry if I was a bit mean earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Never apologise, man. Never apologise. Anyway, yeah, that's it from us. We'll be back at the same time, of course, next week. Tune in tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Cindy Pickett. Until then.
Interviews with fellow artists on the rise and reviews that might surprise. Films, TV shows from back in the day. You might just find a hidden gem today.